I was working the night shift at a gas station in a small town. It was the type of place where everyone who worked there knew everyone who came in, because it was the only gas station for miles around. So when someone new came in, it was always a big deal. It was around 4 a.m., and the store was pretty empty. I was just finishing up my 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. The bell above the door chimed, and I looked up to see a guy in his mid-30s. He was tall and skinny, with greasy shoulder-length brown hair and a scraggly beard. He shuffled up to the counter, and I greeted him with a tired smile. "What can I get for you?" He didn't respond right away, just stood there looking around the store at all the different snacks. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and raspy like he hadn't had water in days. "Do you have any Advil? I have the worst headache." I nodded and walked over to the pharmacy section to grab him a bottle. "Here you go." I turned around, and that's when I noticed how pale his face was. It was almost translucent. It made me wonder if he was sick or maybe even high. He took the Advil and shuffled back to the counter, put his head down, and started slowly unwrapping a piece of candy. Then he looked up at me and asked, "Do you know what time the ATM opens?" I checked my phone. "They open at 6 a.m. Why don't you just come back later?" His eyes were fixed on mine, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Something about his stare was intensely uncomfortable. He didn't reply. Instead, he finished unwrapping his candy and slowly ate it. When he was done, he threw the wrapper on the counter and said, "Thanks for your help." He turned to leave, then stopped and looked back at me. Do you have any paper or a pencil or something?" I walked over to the magazine rack and grabbed a couple of pencils and a pad of paper from the notepad I kept behind the counter for customers who wanted to write checks. I handed them to him, and he took them without saying a word. He walked out into the night, leaving the door open behind him. I went back to stocking shelves, trying to shake off the weird vibes he gave me. About 20 minutes later, the bell chimed again, and in walked a woman. She was crying and frantically looking around the store. I asked her if she was okay, and she quickly wiped away a tear. "I'm sorry, I just need to use the restroom really bad." I pointed her in the right direction, and she hurried down that aisle. A few moments later, she returned with a shaky voice. Do you have a phone here?" "Mine died," I apologized. But I explained that we didn't have any phones customers could use.
"Oh, okay. Thank you anyway."
She began to walk away, then stopped and turned back to me. "Actually, could you please call 911? It's an emergency. I was confused. What happened?" She started to cry again. "I just got out of an abusive relationship and he's gonna find me. He knows this place. Please call the police." I immediately called 911 and hid the woman in the back office while I waited for the cops. When they arrived, I told them what had happened and that the woman was in the back. The officers questioned her and then entered the back room to look for whoever the man was. I heard yelling and commotion in the back and then the sound of handcuffs. Moments later, one of the officers came out of the back and approached me. "Listen, I don't want to scare you, but we found a dead body in the back." My heart skipped a beat. "Who was it?" The officer looked at me with sympathy in his eyes. "That was the guy who was just in here. We think he killed himself." Relief washed over me. At least it wasn't someone I knew. Do you know why he did it?" The officer shook his head. "No, but if you heard anything, please tell us." I hesitated. "Well, actually, I did hear something. He was asking for someone named Sarah. I don't know if that's who he was looking for, but that was the last name on the ID found on him." The officer nodded and wrote something on his notepad. "Thank you. That does help us narrow things down." After the police had left and the sun had risen, I was getting ready to clock out when one of my coworkers, Chris, came up to me. "Hey, did you hear what happened last night?" I knew what he was talking about. "Yeah, the police were here." Chris nodded. "Yeah, me too. They finally caught up with that guy. Apparently he's been robbing gas stations all over the country, and in most cases he would ask for someone by the name of Sarah. The crazy thing is, Sarah is the name of the girl who was on the phone with him when he was robbing the place. And yeah, apparently he had killed her too.